It's finally here, the TARAS NABAD Master Level, packaged with update number 6 for Doom Eternal. Wait, update 4? 6? What's going on? Update 6/4 introduces a next-gen graphics update and also ray tracing. It's pretty. I don't know what else to say. Enabling ray tracing on PC will definitely affect your frame rate, and the DLSS option will help with that. Though with ray tracing on, I do sometimes get stuttering. Honestly, I have a hard time noticing the difference while playing. Doom Eternal is such a fast game that I can't see these kinds of details. When you stop and look around, it's very nice. So it's up to you whether you value this or not. Regardless, it's great to have, and I'll probably be turning it on and off till I decide if I want to keep it on. Wait a second, I can see myself reflected in the walls? This is great. On a technical level, it's incredible that this game is running on high settings at high frame rate with ray tracing on. It's certainly no small feat, so congratulations to the programmers and everyone who made this update possible. I'm not going to cover every change in this update, but I will highlight a few of them. Bloodmaker projectiles now do 15% less damage, something I don't have much of an opinion on. They've already made them a lot easier to kill, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Spirits now die faster, and I think that's a good change. I love how spirits shake up combat, but the time needed to kill them was just a little bit too long. This change helps with that. I'm happy with it. The welcome message delay is shortened by 1 second. I'll take it. Tag 1 balance changes have been reverted. Not all of them, but a good amount. The intro sections play as they're supposed to, as do the Atlantica arena fights. Good stuff. Thank you id Software for listening to the feedback on this. The Samur boss fight has been changed to give more health pickups and plasma ammo, and the respawn time for the Dread Knight and the Pain Elemental in the final phase has been drastically changed, from 4 seconds to 10 seconds. I think that goes too far. I'd drop it to 7 or 8 max, but it's fine. The Trial of Malagog fight has also been changed, which I find a bit puzzling. I'm in agreement on some of the changes, but some of them not at all. I like that other weapons now do more damage against the eyes. Chain gun, micromissiles, full auto. That's nice that you don't have to use the precision bolt and ballista. And there's larger hit detection on the eye, and more resource drops. That's all fine. But on top of that, the Hell Knight and Pinky spawns are delayed, the eye's projectile attack does less damage and moves slower, and they just took out the mecha zombies and shield guys. And I gotta say that I don't get it. This fight was already easier than either of the arena fights that came before it, and I think those buffs to the weapon damage and the hit detection would have been just fine. In Tag 2, there's now a unique sound when the Cursed Prowler appears. So you're not going to get cursed by one that you didn't even know was there, and when you do get cursed, the game gives you a blood punch to deal with it. Love it. Great changes. I do agree that the situation of getting cursed without a blood punch can lead to some intense and fun moments of getting creative to find a blood punch quickly, but honestly, it's far outweighed by the possibility of getting cursed randomly and now you're standing next to a Mancubus and you can't move and you have no blood punch and you just die. The Dark Lord fight has been changed so he doesn't heal as much when he hits you. That's fine. There's a new battle mode map called Corrosion that looks cool. I don't play battle mode, so I'm not going to cover the updates to that mode, sorry. And there are several possibly unintended changes as well. Something is up with the hit detection where precision bolt and ballista shots sometimes aren't registering and they seem to pass through enemies. id Software has already said they're fixing this, so I'm just reporting here. I've got this weird issue now where every time I open the game, the Slayer is low resolution, so I have to go change my resolution and then change it back and it fixes. It's pretty weird. Players have noticed that some more speedrun skips no longer work. Dash boosts on the geometry have changed. Some fights can't be skipped anymore, like the final Stone Imp encounter, so that's pretty frustrating. Nothing in the patch notes mentions these changes, which leaves people confused as to what's going on. The Marauder no longer refalters with the ballista splash damage tech. The word is that this change will be reverted in an upcoming fix, so that's great news, and if this stuff gets addressed soon, I can do a follow-up video on it. One change I absolutely agree with is the Ice Bomb on the Doom Hunter boss fight. You can now freeze the Doom Hunter boss variant, and it's not because they want to make the fight easier. It's because the Doom Hunter becomes a common enemy type after this fight, and knowing how to fight Doom Hunters is part of the fun in this game. We don't want people only using plasma to take down his shield. We want them finding ways to get massive damage on his base as well. That can be done with falters and with Ice Bomb. Freezing a Doom Hunter and going in for that blood punch really opens up the fight with this enemy. And when new players spend half an hour on this boss fight, try to freeze him several times and he never freezes, why would they ever think to try to freeze him in later levels when he's a common enemy type? I've talked to several skilled FPS veterans who love this game, and while they don't play it religiously like a lot of us, they beat it on Nightmare 3 or 4 times and played the DLC a bunch as well, and they had no idea that you could freeze the Doom Hunter, so I 100% agree with this change, so that this fight serves to teach the player about dealing with this enemy better down the road. The boss fight may be easier now, but not really by much for first-time players who probably don't even have a full Ice Bomb upgrade at that point anyway, and I think the benefits far outweigh any negatives. So we have issues which id Software knows about, and maybe this video will bring some others to light. There's some good changes, there's some bad ones. The TARAS NABAD Master Level in its launch state has similar issues to Super Gornest, but they don't seem as widespread. Mainly, there are soft locking issues when loading a checkpoint, which will ruin your run because you can't save your progress and reload after exiting a game. I think it's time we had a save feature on these things to get around these issues. There are various new sound bugs. I got one where a background sound endlessly looped until I reloaded the checkpoint, which led to me being soft locked. And the 300% health bug happens in this level just like in SGN. Issues aside, the master level is fun. It includes classic mode like the last one, and I think it flows much better with classic mode, so that's how I'm choosing to review it this time around. There's been a lot of talk lately about pacing in Doom Eternal, especially after the controversy surrounding Tag 2, and we've all been curious as to how this master level was going to play out, and I would say it's mostly a success. The level opens up with falling rock hazards, which sends the message that we can expect some unique stuff. And immediately we're met with arachnotrons before we even get out of the tunnel. We jump right into a brutal space with carcasses and mancubi, followed by specter pinkies on the floor and pain elementals in the sky, then leading us to getting locked in a tight space with a couple barons. It really is a good way to start things off. Again, classic mode feels really good with this level. If you're already a Doom Eternal master and you go in with your full arsenal, you're not going to get the full effect of this level's design. There's a very cute little secret area in this space. Oh, a megasphere, that's nice. And then you get locked into this tight space with respawning Hell Knights. It's a very good trolly original Doom style secret and I love it. After crossing the gap and mowing down some imps, we get trapped on the overpass with a marauder. If you're out of practice, this will get you back up to speed real quick. Entering the courtyard, we get our first real taste of what this level really has to offer. First, I love the lasers coming out of the statues. Great idea, looks great, but they don't impact the fight hardly at all. Really, even though the level introduces cool new hazards like these statue lasers, falling rocks, underwater lasers, spinning lasers, they don't do much as long as you stay mobile and aware of your surroundings, which they're supposed to encourage, so I guess it's alright. This fight can easily get out of control if you aren't using the open space to your advantage. There are many waves here. I love the heavy use of arachnotrons supported by wandering revenants, eventually supported by faraway cyber mancubi. You've got 2 separate waves of barons that come in, with a wave of whiplashes as well. It's a really nice opening arena fight that probably could have used some strong aerial support. Make sure you're exploring for secrets so you find more weapon mods. You'll be pretty upset if you don't find your favorite one. I missed out on the Destroyer Blade on my second playthrough and I was pissed. We enter a transition room of tentacles, always nice to see tentacles, and a well set up encounter with a Mancubus and harassing revenants with shield guys and a cyber Mancubus support. Once you take them out, 3 Spectre Whiplashes try to sneak up on you. Here we see another issue where if you pick up a weapon mod for another weapon, it switches the active mod on the gun you're using now. This happens anytime you pick up a new mod. The next arena gives us the super shotgun, not a moment too soon. A large group of Cacodemons, Hell Knights on the ground, followed by Tyrants and a Marauder, spinning laser hazards in the middle, and lots of fodder. That's actually becoming a bit of a theme in Doom Eternal lately. Waves of fodder. I'm not entirely sure what they're going for with this. The World Spear in Tag 2 suffered from this heavily in the first half. It seemed like we were dealing with constant fodder waves, and the thing is, fodder waves aren't fun. Fodder isn't interesting. They play strong roles in harassment and for resources, but 15 fodder demons running around the room doesn't make fights very interesting. And the TARAS NABAD master level has a few too many of these fodder waves for my taste. There are so many that I'm actually running around using sticky bombs here. Me. We head down into the underground and find more tentacles, one of which doesn't spawn until you walk past it. Like I said, I love seeing tentacles, but they aren't worked into any of the combat rooms. That's what made them interesting in Tag 1. When you're fighting the tyrants and there are tentacles next to the gas cans, they were a nasty surprise that you would learn to intelligently avoid and use for chainsaw opportunities. It's sad not to see them get integrated like that anymore. Lone tentacles in a hallway don't really do much. Coming around this corner is a surprise Dread Knight. That's awesome. I'd love to see more jump scares like that in these master levels. The armor pickup in the Slayer Gate room spawns Doom Hunters, which you take on one at a time, not really a big deal. And once we pass the short platforming puzzle and move on to the next fight, we see a Mancubus with exploding barrels in front of him. That's cool. I'd like to see more of these environmental setups to take out demons. Suddenly we find ourselves locked in this hallway looking for a buff totem. Where is it? Where is it? If you don't know where to look, you could end up running around these tunnels quite a bit. Anyone who isn't familiar with this level is at risk of taking a wrong turn. The buff totem is all the way back at the beginning of this area by the platforming puzzle. I'm a bit torn on this encounter. On one hand, it's a great surprise. The first time I played it, I was really happy to see it. On my second playthrough, it immediately became an interruption to the level flow because instead of walking through the door, I gotta run back and kill a buff totem and run all the way back. And it isn't even that they throw a hard fight in front of you to have fun on your way to the buff totem. Again, it's just fodder. So it's a cute and clever moment that's great the first time and not so great every time after. Situations like this is why we need random spawn locations for buff totems. The next room has something really nice for us. The big boys are back, tyrants and barons, eventually supported by doom hunters, and half the room is covered in dark fog. Really nice touch. Here you start noticing lots of prowlers too, which go on to become the stars of this master level later on as they're mixed with large numbers of Hell Knights. We head up and outside to a moment that I like for some reason. It's just carcasses and then revenants coming down the hill. But there's something about it. The way the revenants are coming down kind of messes with my accuracy. It's an awkward little encounter. I like it. I don't know what else to say. And now we finally have remote detonation. Oh baby, I'm back. And just in time for a room with Cyber Mancubi and 2 Archvials. Sadly, the Archvials don't appear at the same time. It should have been at the same time. We can handle it. But once they go down, it's not over. A Tyrant, Maker Drones, 4 Arachnotrons, and 2 Pain Elementals. I love this combo. Lots of Arachnotrons and Pain Elementals together with drones as your fodder. There's so much projectile harassment, it's great. Next up, we've got a little pace breaker, a cue ball set up on a Dread Knight and a Cyber Mancubus, leading us to another pretty big fight. And my god, if ever there was a room specifically designed for whiplashes, it's this one. All the little hills and tunnels and paths, they can just go anywhere they want, slithering around on the ground. Prowlers continue to make their presence known, and for such an open space, things can feel pretty claustrophobic while being surrounded by doom hunters and prowlers and all this fodder. I actually like all the fodder here, it fits with these demons in this room. Moving on to the next room, I'm a big fan of this one. I love tyrants in tight spaces with prowlers and fodder drawing your attention away from him. Here, prowlers are still showing you why this is their master level, as they repeatedly spawn and bop you around while you're trying to focus on a marauder and then take on 2 more marauders at the same time. Excellent stuff right there. Shield guys, a Pain Elemental, and a faraway Cyber Mancubus wait for us in the narrow hallway with no way to escape. Again, very nice. Not too crazy, but still engaging as we move forward. The double switch door, which is usually empty, now locks us in with a surprise Baron, and then another wonderful jump scare as a Hell Knight spawns to wait for us right next to the second button. Yes, I love it. The next room is probably the best room in the master level, and one of the best rooms in the entire game. A non-threatening wave of shield guys appears, which makes you think nothing serious is on the way, until, oh my god, barons, doom hunters, prowlers, and at least 4 carcasses all at the same time. A hidden buff totem that you can't kill for a while. Waves of Hell Knights, Cyber Makebuy, more shield guys running around buffed, shooting like crazy. This is wild, and the chemistry between these specific demons is brutal. These types of demons make it hard for you to find a safe place and charge up a powerful attack or kill from afar. Great room, 10 out of 10. Beating that room, there's a very justified breather. Take a little elevator trip, break this thing and drop it and go down, and into this curious little encounter that locks us into the previously empty circular area. And now we've got Hell Knights and Mancubi and Arachnotrons to deal with a few laser hazards for good measure. Again, not enough to really feel a difference, but it's nice to have them there. This fight, I would have added one more wave at the end, maybe a Marauder. I like this next room. I've always been a fan of the design of this space, with the underground passage, the side hallway, and the big wall in the center. And they utilize it pretty well with carcasses, Mancubi, and prowlers. A wave of 4 Hell Knights, it's pretty good. Could probably use a little claustrophobic pressure from air units. A short platforming section lets us collect ourselves for another big moment of this master level, the hidden Archvile room. This is the kind of stuff I want to see. Make me uncomfortable. Put me in tight spaces with constantly summoning Archviles while I have to focus down 2 tyrants avoiding Dread Knights. They also nail the fodder numbers here. There's just enough to make the room feel a little crowded. This room really isn't as bad as you think. Focus down the tyrants, make them your priority. If you can take them out quickly, the walls will come down and you can take out the Archviles. If you screw around too long, you'll get overwhelmed. I love these combat puzzles where something seems unfair at first until you start realizing what you need to focus on. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of thinking some fight is terrible just because you aren't able to deal with it the way you deal with everything else. There is unfortunately an exploit where the BFG tendrils will damage the Archviles through the shield, so if you have a couple shots, you can completely trivialize this brilliant fight. Maybe they could have made it to where the Archviles were also standing behind boxes so they can't be hit. And now we arrive at the final battle, which honestly, compared to the 2 star rooms of the master level, isn't all that crazy. It's long, but it doesn't feel that way. It's set up in 4 phases, the first being a simple Hell Knight and Mancubus phase, and soon you're sent to the main courtyard for what is definitely the best part of this fight. Buff Totem, Pain Elementals, Arachnotrons, Shield Guys. Unfortunately, the buff totem isn't protected by a shield on a timer or trigger. I think everyone should be forced to deal with the buff for a while. A bunch of Cacodemons come in to say hello when the buff totem is gone, and you're gonna want to stay off the ground when the Hell Knights and Prowlers appear. Phase 3 teleports us to a bit of a free power trip to break up the fight. Keep in mind there have been no checkpoints. We have 3 tyrants and some crucible charges. I like this. Lots of players are going to be really sweating by this point, and so a quick insta-kill section on some tyrants is a satisfying way to catch your breath, but also put up a middle finger at the demons. One thing though, and if id Software is listening, I really hope they can do this. Please add a couple Fodder Demons. There are many players like myself that don't like using super weapons, or they play categories that make super weapons unusable, and since there's no fodder, you kinda end up forced to use them to get past 3 tyrants in a hallway. Maybe some surprise tentacles. Phase 4 warps us back to the first room, now with fog, and we're dealing with double marauders plus fodder waves. This phase, I don't know. I like it, but I think it needed something to spawn in when the first marauder dies. Some Archviles and Tyrants, something to send us off, because when the Marauders are dead, the fight's over. It feels a tad anticlimactic, and I think that's why I end up feeling like this fight is short even when it's not, because it ends when it doesn't feel like it's over yet. Still, a good fight. The TARAS NABAD Master Level is another fantastic official piece of content for Doom Eternal. The bar was set very high after Super Gornest, and I think I like Super Gornest more. I think it had more memorable encounters and more moments of tension. However, I didn't enjoy it that much in Classic mode. TARAS NABAD shines in Classic mode. And while I may prefer Super Gornest overall, rooms like the Archvile room, the Medallion room, and the circular hallway with Tyrants and 3 Marauders actually end up raising the bar even further than Super Gornest did. Main criticisms would be too much fodder, not enough Dread Knights and air units, and I'm really missing the new enemy types. I know they won't be using them in base game master levels, but the absence of spirits, bloodmakers, armored barons, screechers, stone imps, it can really be felt, and they would have taken this level to the next level. So a job well done to the dev team and designer Jason O'Connell. You guys did great, and I've been having more and more fun on repeat playthroughs. TARAS NABAD doesn't hit the consistent highs of Super Gornest, but the highs it does hit are exquisite. That first playthrough balances fun and frustration just right to leave you satisfied upon completion and inspired enough to go for it again so you can master those tough rooms. Thanks for watching this master level review. I can't wait till we get another.